Hey, shalom. Shalom, Gary, Brenda, Chris and Vernie, Landa, Tet, Dr. DeVera, Sean, Julie, Betty, Michael, Hesed Ken. All right, good to see you all. How did you get in here? There's a fly in here. Okay. Hey, shalom, Mentat Assassin, Gabriel, Thea. Okay, let's start with a real quick prayer. Avinu malkeinu ken yiratzon. תמלא את פי הלילה הזאת כי אני יכול לדבר רק כי אתה רוצה. וגם אדוני תעזר נא את כל תלמודי. תשלח נא עלינו את רוח הקודש. אנחנו רק רוצים לראות את פניך. לכל הדברים האלה אנחנו נברכך בזכות ישוע המשיח. All right. So we are ready. Okay. So tonight we're in Exodus chapter 24, verse 12. There we go. And you can see where there's the white space where last time we finished. Okay. Okay. Landa says it's quiet. Let me see here. Let me see what I can do about that. I think I'm cranking it at 25% extra. Let me have a look. Oh, 50%. I'm cranking it at 50%. Why is it quiet? Let me turn up the gain a little bit on my microphone and maybe that will help. Let me know if you hear any background noise. Is that louder? Did that help? Shalom. I don't want to go more than 150 because, well, I'm afraid it'll start clipping. But I've got it right here in front of my face too, right? Usually it's off to the side a little bit. Is it any better? Can you guys give me some feedback on the sound? Interesting. Ted said also low volume there. What about now that I turned the gain up? So the buffering's on your end, Ted. Sorry. YouTube is telling me I have excellent connection right now. Better you than me. Betty, the sound is okay there? All right. Slightly better, huh? I don't know what to do. I mean, strange. Good. It's good for Ken. Okay. Maybe I'll crank the gain just a little bit more. Just please. I worry about bringing the gain up because it can get background noises. Let me know if you hear a fan or anything like that. I'll also try not to be too quiet. Okay. If you have headphones, maybe try plugging them into the computer. Very often computer speakers, if it's a laptop, they're just not great. I'm not saying that's what it is. Okay, Dr. DeVere says it's okay there. Yeah, you might want to try even cheapo headphones, just plugging them in. That'll help a lot. Like when I record my shorts, I watch it on the computer afterwards, right? And usually it's quiet, right? But if I plug in headphones, oh, it's like very loud. Okay, that might have been it. The final crank up in the gain might have done it. Okay, thanks. Thank you so much for the feedback, Landa. Good, you said something. All right, here we are. Verse 12. So this is Shemot 24, verse 12. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe alei elai haharah veheyeh sham. Okay. Vayomer Adonai, then Adonai said, it's quite easy, El unto Moshe. What did he say? Ale. Okay, you remember this verb? Allah. Allah, one of our Hebrew words of the day. To ascend, to go up. In the Psalms when it says, come let us go up to Jerusalem, it says, Na'ale, let us go up. Ale is an imperative, so it's a command. Go up. Ale. Eli, unto me. Haharah. So this is kind of interesting to pick apart this word. So the word is ha, which again was one of your Hebrew words of the day. I think before I was doing sign language though. Har means mountain. Haharah, the mountain. But what about the ah at the end? This is the hey locative, or directional hey. Sometimes people call it hey shalom, Alaskan nomad. Tammy, shalom. Okay, good. Sounds good now. Thanks. Good. Very good with headphones. All right, good. No background noise? Excellent. Okay, we'll keep the gain like that. Nice. So this is kind of like the suffix, if I can call it that in English, ward, W-A-R-D. Like I could say, someone could say, oh, where are you going? I could say, I'm homeward bound, right? That's the ah at the end. It's like our ward, right? So homeward in Hebrew would be beitah, right? Beit, house, towards the house, towards the home, you see? Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, towards Jerusalem, Yerushalayimah, right? So Simon and Garfunkel, they'd have to put at the end in Hebrew for their homeward bound song, right? Ani rotzeh lehayot beitah. Anyway, it doesn't quite work, but so Ale, come up, Eli, to me, haharah, towards the mountain, or mountainwards. Veheyeh. This is an imperative. There's a psalm, I don't remember which one, but in one of the psalms, it says, Heyeh li, O Adonai. Heyeh, it means be like exist. Be li, to me, be mine, right? But here, Adonai is just saying, Veheyeh, and be sham, there. Veettenah lecha et luchot haeven. Okay. So this verb is a little hard to recognize. Brenda liked the beta bound. So what's happening here? This is the verb natan, to give. All right. But there's a special kind of verbal designation for verbs that start with a noon. And you probably I try to tell you which position it's in. So if you have 3 root letters, the first one, that's the one that has the noon there, okay? Now we would call this a pay noon verb in Hebrew dikduk, in Hebrew grammatical terms, okay? The rabbinical terms. So what that means is the verb is represented by the word pa'al, pei, ayin, lamed. All Hebrew verbs are represented by pa'al in the various patterns. You learn the names of them, like hifil, nifal, pu'al, pi'el, hitpa'el, pilpel, pulpel, all those things. They're from that verb pa'al. It's like the paradigm verb that the sages used. And what it does for you, well, it means to do or to make, right? In fact, the word verb comes from this word, okay, in modern Hebrew even. So when I say it's a pei noon, that means the first position of the verb. Is it left to right from your perspective? Oh yeah, that's correct. Okay, good. The first position is the pei. The second position we call ayin. And the third position is lamed, pa'al, right? Usually Christian grammars, they'll do like Roman numerals, like Roman numeral 1, first position, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. We're not really so fond of the Romans, so we're not going to adopt that anytime. Anyway, I want you to be familiar with it as time goes on, because if you do any kind of using of Jewish grammars, you're going to see it referred to this way, okay? So it's good to be aware. Also, just the names. I'll be using these names for the binyanim. I think even the Christian grammars will call them PL. Oh, yeah, they still do. Yeah, so... Oh, okay, there is an official German way, like Grundstamm, they call that the Kal, the basic one, and then they have like a letter D for the intensive one. I can't remember what it stands for. These. So, okay, there is some Christian scholarship that does call it different stuff, but it's out there enough that it's good to know this, okay? So that's your key. Knowing the word pe, ayin, lamed, pa'al means verb, okay? And that's our index into every verb. So I will talk about a lamed hey verb. That's the verb where the last letter is a hey, because pei, ayin, lamed, the l position, or the third position, that's where the hey is. Right now we're looking at a pei noon verb. That means the first position has a noon, okay? And that noon disappears sometimes. And look, that's what happened with natan. In this verb, the pei position is noon, the ayin position is a tav, and the lamed position is noon. Natan, pa'al. Okay, so they're like indices into the verb. You understand? Great. Hey, shalom, Ani. Great. Okay, so what happened is with pay noon verbs, that is a verb that starts with a noon, often that noon will be assimilated into the verb, and that's what happened here. So the ancient form for this would have been entenah, right? So the noon still would be there, but it assimilated in, and that's why we have the strong dot, the dagesh in the tav. It's telling you, hey, there's two tavs here because the noon joined me, okay? So the aleph reminds you of I. So, and this is a cohortative form. The hey is like, the hey at the end is an add-on. It's like an emphatic hey. It makes it stronger. So, and veettenah, I will give lecha, to you. What will Hashem give to Moshe? We don't translate. Luchot. This is from the word luach. Luach. A luach is a tablet, right? Like in modern Hebrew, a chalkboard is a luach, right? You know, you might have a diagram, a table in a book is a luach. Luchot are tablets. And this is an example. So it's luach haeven. It's a construct like we talked about last week. So that means the first word is of something of the second. So luchot, tablets of haeven, the stone. Remember the story I told you about in the war against Rome, where the Romans would have catapults and the rock would be coming in, and instead of saying even ba'a, since even is feminine, a stone is coming, they would say ben ba, a son is coming, right? Like to, to clip it quickly, like clip Klingon we mentioned, okay? So anyway, maybe that'll help you remember even, stone. So the ha, when you have a ha on that last word, a the on that last word, it makes all the words that are connected to it needing the in English. So ve'ettenah lecha, and I will give to you et luchot, the tablets haeven of stone, or the tablets of the stone, or the stone tablets. We have to have a the here. Okay. Ve'hatorah ve'hamitzvah asher katavti lehorotam. Okay. And the Torah, and the Torah. Ve'hamitzvah, in the command. Now this is being used, it's a singular, but it's kind of being used to classify the whole group of commandments. Asher, which katavti. Now we had this word as one of our words of the day. Katav, to write, yeah? Katav. So katavti, that T at the end reminds me of I, the end of ani, or anochi. So katav, who wrote? T, me, I wrote, which I wrote, lehorotam, to teach them. It's interesting, these words are from the same root actually. Torah and lehorot, to teach, they're from the same root. So, to teach them. Brenda's son's name is Evan. Oh, great. That's a fitting name. Is he hard-headed or something? Or he's solid like a stone? Tet. Eben Stone. Yeah. Shalom Yakar. Okay, hold on. I'm going to turn on my air conditioner. It's a bit warm down here right now. Just give me a second. Okay. I'm still here, but I'm going to go turn it on. And get a drink. So maybe look ahead at the if you want the next verse. Boy. Don't be shy with questions, huh? Sorry for the noise. Okay. And we're back. Let's see. What happened? Where's my chat? Okay, there. One moment. Okay, turning off the sounds on my computer. Brenda says it's like talking to a stone sometimes. Well, just tell him if you don't answer, even the stones will cry out. The avanim, in the plural, avanim. Now, this word works the same as the other words that have the pattern. Remember, we've kind of been pointing this out over the last few weeks. They're called segholates, so like melech, sefer, even, kerev, etc., right? So this will follow the same pattern. So if I wanted to say my stone, you could, or if you want to say my Evan, hey, shalom, shalom, Dr. Jones, shalom. Then you would say, Malki is my king, Safri, my scroll, Avni, my stone. Right? Whenever you see the in a noun, it's going to follow that pattern. Julie says, how do you say cut? Karat, karat, karati, I cut, I chopped. Karat. All right, verse Yod Gimel 13. Hold on, there's an artifact happening with the camera I want to fix. There we go. Okay. Veyaqam Moshe Vehoshua Mesharato Vayal Moshe El Elohim. Okay. Vayaqam. So this, I'm putting up my fingers to show the shorish. Okay, maybe I'll use the left hand instead. Okay, so the first letter, second, and then third. So when the third letter is a vav, we call that a hollow verb. Vav or yod. It's called hollow because oftentimes that middle root letter goes away. And so it's like hollow inside, right? That's the case of this verb here that we're looking at, just above, okay? So it's from kum, to arise, to get up, like kuma tabata, right? Arise, girl. In the Jewish Aramaic, Yeshua speaks, right? Julie says, oh yeah, I get cut and write confused. Oh yeah, they're kind of similar, right? Yeah. Okay, so the yod is he is getting up, or he will get up. Who's the he? Moshe. Okay, so Moshe will get up, and then the vav, veyaqam, the vav changes the time and makes it so that he got up. Veyaqam Moshe. Then Moshe got up, or he arose. Vehoshua. Okay, then Moshe and Joshua. And you'll see this with subjects when it's so-and-so and somebody else. Oftentimes the verb remains plural. Instead of saying vayakumu, which would be the normal plural form, it says vayaqum. So we're just treating them as a singular for the verb's perspective. They're like an individual group going somewhere. That fly is bothering me. Usually there's no bugs in here. Okay. We had the flooding recently, right? So had to leave the door open and all this stuff. You stay on the monitor and I won't kill you. Oh, it's giant fly. It's like a horse fly. All right. Vayaqam Moshe v'Hoshua. Moshe and Joshua arose. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We're getting more of the subject. Who is Joshua? Mesharato. This is his attendant. The mashara, the attendant, of him. Vaya'al Moshe. And Moshe, what's this verb? Vaya'al. Okay. It's a lamed hey verb. What's that mean? Remember? Pa'al. Pa'al. So lamed is the third letter in the pa'al paradigm. So lamed hey means there's a hey in the third place. So the verb is Allah. Allah. To ascend, right? To go up. It lost its hey. The yod at the beginning tells you it's he. Okay? Ya'al Moshe means Moshe is going up, or he will go up. Okay? The vav changes the time. V'ya'al Moshe. Then Moshe went up, or he ascended, unto Elohim. So here we have another construct connection, right? This word of that word. Okay? So ha is mountain. Ha is the. Elohim is God. So the mountain of God, or the mountain of the God, if you want to be very, very, you could even translate it the mountain of the gods. But, we understand that's not the perspective here. Since, okay, it just occurs in the plural for the true God and also for false gods. All right, I think I want another drink. Uh-oh, I'm out of water. Please make sure to click like if you guys like what we're doing here. That really helps us. trying to come back. There we go. All right, verse Yod Dalet, 14. Ve'el hazekenim amar shavulanu vazeh ad asher nashov alechem. Ve'el, and unto hazekenim, the elders, the zekenim, elders, hazekenim. Amar, he said, shavulanu vazeh ad asher nashuv alechem. Okay, shavu. This is from the verb yashav. Yashav. You remember yashav? It's another pei yod verb, meaning pa'al. The p position has a yod. And these verbs, often the yod will go away, or it will assimilate with the second letter and make that letter double. All right? Davy says, Rabbi, is it true that Elohim means powers? I wouldn't translate it that way, but it is a flexible word, right? So really what Elohim means, if you wanted to give it a one-liner that works, Elohim means a resident of the spiritual realm. That's what it means. Residents, it's plural. Residents of the spiritual realm, right? So for example, you could say that ovot, that ghosts are Elohim, okay? The spirits of dead people, right? You could say, for example, the witch at Endor, that's what she calls Shemuel. When she sees Shemuel, she says, I see Elohim, right? And Shaul HaMelech, he's not surprised. He says, what does he look like, right? She explains, okay? I got that example from Dr. Heiser. And then, for example, angels can be Elohim, right? Angels are Elohim. Gods are Elohim, like false gods, right? Or gods that are these principalities that Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, talks about. The principalities, these spirits that are in high places, they are also Elohim, right? So I mean, very loosely, you could maybe use it as powers. Now, maybe what they're getting at, sometimes we have it as like okay, if it's part of a compound word, Davy, like say you have, we have a place in Scripture it says, haharah Elohim, okay? So some people will translate that, so har is mountain, hararim are mountain range. It's a mountain range, okay? Haharah, the mountain range of Elohim. Some people translate the mountain range of God, but it can be used as a superlative. Not really like power, but as a superlative. So for example, in that case, you could say mighty mountains, or the mighty mountain range, right? Like the biggest mountain range. You understand? We can also use death as a superlative in the same way. Usually these are poetic, right? I'm sharing to you from the Psalms, right? So for example, Salmavet is very famous, right? Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it comes to us, right, in English. But it's not really shadow of death. That is literally what it says. Tsal, mavet, from tzel, which is shadow, and mavet, or mawith, in the original, that was death, right? But it turns out that just like Elohim can be a suffix, that means the most of a thing. Again, this is rare, but in poetry. I'm just trying to get wherever you heard that from might have come from. So just like Elohim can mean the most of it, but in a good way, right? Like mighty, strong. Mavet can also mean the most, but in a kind of a negative nuance, right? So Tzal Mavet really means like the darkest shadow, is what it's saying. You see? I could have also said, the poet could have said, Tzal Elohim, right? And that would have been like the greatest shadow, but it kind of puts a positive spin on it. You understand? So Elohim, we have to be very flexible with this word, right? This is why I think that when the angel wrestled with Yaakov Avinu, the reason the angel gave him the name Yisrael, it's not like many people suppose, he wrestled with God. El, because El, the singular from Elohim, right? El. No. He wrestled with an angel. The text tells us it was an angel. There's no mystery here. No one's trying to hide the ball. It wasn't really Yeshua as an angel. It's an angel. It tells us it's a malach, right? It's a messenger, right? And our tradition tells us it was Esau's guardian angel, okay? So when he's done wrestling with the angel, wait for it, an El, okay? Angel is of the category of from the spiritual realm, a resident of the spiritual realm. He's done wrestling with an El. the El, who was an angel, the kind of El that he was an angel, a malach, right? If El is a super category, the subcategory, what kind of El was he? Was he El Elyon? El Elyon, the Most High, that's the El who's on top of all the other Elohim, right? So he's over all the ghosts, he's over all the spirits, he's over all the, right? Everybody who dwells in that realm, he's on top. That's El Elyon. That's why he has that title, okay? But the other, as we come down, there are subcategories. A malach, an angel, is a kind of El, a spirit, a resident of the spiritual realm, right? So when he finished wrestling with the El, who happened to be a malach, that El called him Yisrael because he had just wrestled with him. Okay, so to say that Israel means, oh, he wrestles with God, those stiff-necked Jews always wrestling with God, I don't think that's an appropriate translation. It's totally ignoring the context. Okay, we were given the name because our ancestor wrestled with an angel. Okay, he's not literally wrestling with God there. Okay, so anyway, I hope that helps. So power, I mean, like I said, it can be a superlative in poetry, right? Haharah El or Haharah Elohim, the mightiest mountains, right? So maybe if you're saying the mountains are powerful because they're so big, something like that. But I think it's kind of, I don't know, feels a little bit like a stretch to say powerful there. Now, heavenly powers, yeah, I didn't think like that. You could say the heavenly powers, Davey. Yeah, like the heavenly powers, the Elohim, yeah, you could say it that way, right? Okay. Mentat Assassin says, yeah, Dr. Michael Heiser, Unseen Realm. Landis says, makes perfect sense, and now I understand. And yes, I have heard what you just said about the Jews. I think you heard it from me. I'm not trying to be conceited. I've never heard anyone give that definition before in that way about it, right? It always bothered me hearing Israel referred to that way as, like wrestling with God. It just didn't quite sit right. And then thanks to Heiser's illuminating about Elohim, that helped me to kind of connect the dots. And wait a second, Israel's wrestling with an angel. Why are we calling it? So yeah, Baruch Hashem. Good. Okay, good talk. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. So now unto the elders, Amar, he said, Shavu. So it's from Yashav. The Yod went away. Yashav, you know this, it's one of our words, to sit, right? To sit or to dwell. So he's saying, dwell, lanu, for us, like sit for us, vazeh, with this, ad, until, asher, win, nashuv. Now this looks similar to this word, but it's a different word. Shuv is where we get to shuvah, and it's a hollow verb. Oftentimes that middle vav will go away. But here he remains. Shuv. Shuv is return. The nun at the beginning reminds us of nachnu or anachnu, which means we or us. So nashuv, we will shuv, we will return. Al unto echem, unto you all. Alechem, like shalom aleichem malachei asharet malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amelachim akadosh baruch hu. So if you like that song. So anyway, so the aleichem, shalom aleichem. Hello to all of you. Which, by the way, a little pet peeve of mine I have, it's not really much of a pet peeve, but a lot of people think that the way to say hello to one person, you see one person, right? It's to say shalom aleichem. Okay? That's true in Yiddish. It's not true in Hebrew. Okay, so what happened was, shalom aleichem, it means shalom y'all. Okay, the real way to say shalom to somebody, well, either just shalom, right? Or if you're talking to a man, you say shalom lecha or shalom alecha, right? Okay, really old sounding. Talking to a girl, shalom lach, right? Shalom alayich. If it's all women, shalom alechen, ending in a noon sound instead, right? Shalom alechen. If it's a mixed group or all men, then it's shalom aleichem, shalom y'all. Mixed folks, okay, or guys. But what happened, in Yiddish, that just means hello, shalom aleichem. You see one person, shalom aleichem, or shoylem aleichem, right? You say it to one person even. I think what happened, like a lot of times when a Hebrew word went into Yiddish, like 1,000 years ago, right? What happened was the Yiddish, the common speakers might not have known Hebrew so well. And so they messed up the form, just like people mess it up today. And so they see one person, they say, Shalom Aleichem. It's like people who never say anything in Yiddish, they say, Shalom Aleichem. So that's how I know that they probably don't understand how it's working in Hebrew. So anyway, hopefully you know now and understand, okay? Okay, so that's an interesting question. So Landis says, does that apply to demons also? Yeah, I think you could refer to them as Elohim, although I can't think of any examples where that happens in Scripture, right? I think usually the concept when you're talking about, well, okay, look, Elohim acherim. When God says, he says, Eshbata et kol Elohei Mitzrayim. Let me judge, or I will judge all the Elohim of Egypt. Okay? He's not talking about idols, right? Right? He's not talking about stones. What's it mean to judge a stone, right? To judge the obelisks? I judge you, obelisk. It's not the obelisk's fault. It got cut into an obelisk, right? So I think in that case, Land, it might be talking about demons, right? I think demons were kind of running the show there in Egypt. Like, the people were worshiping real things, I think, not just like things that didn't exist. They were worshiping Elohim. What kind of Elohim? Elohim acherim. Al tishtachavu le Elohim acherim ve'al ta'ovdeim. You shall not prostrate down nor worship Elohim acherim, other gods, right? What are those Elohim? Not necessarily gods, but we could say demons, shadim. Yeah, I think that's probably what was happening. That's a good question. So I think in Egypt they were probably demons that they were worshiping. Right. Okay. Nice. How are we on time? Let me check our time. Okay, good. 31 minutes. We're doing all right. Nice conversation too. You guys keep the questions coming. Okay, aleichem, unto you all. Veheyeh aharon v'chur imachem miva'al devarim yingash aleihem. Yanasi says the entities that portray their idol. Sure. Or, also in the ancient Near Eastern world, people weren't just like dumb, right? They knew they made the idol, right? The purpose of the idol in most of those Near Eastern cults was they would animate the idol, they would move it around, usually with some kind of witchcraft type ritual or whatever, trying to convince their god to come into the idol, to animate it himself, you see? Right? Which is really interesting because the image in Revelation, it looks like it's moving. It seems like it's moving to me when you read it in the Greek. So they would try to animate it, right? Maybe it's a hologram, who knows? The idea is they're trying to convince their God, come on in and talk to us, right? They want its false Shekhinah to come inside of that Mishkan, that false Mishkan, right? False tabernacle, right? So they're trying to trick it. They're not like really thinking that is the God, right? But they're thinking their God might decide to be in there. He might decide to possess it, to go inside of it. Yeah. It actually makes more sense too, right? I mean, people 4,000 years ago, they weren't just idiots, right? I mean, we're not smarter than they were. We just have better technology, right? So sinners back then weren't really dumber than sinners today. So, I mean, if you walked by an idol shop and you knew that guy built the idol, you didn't think that was a god, but you hoped that maybe your God would go inside of it, right? So maybe he'd pay you a little visit or something. Yeah, so good point, Yanasi. Sorry, we're here. Where are we? Okay. Where were we? Veheyeh. Now look, or literally, and behold. Hinei. Aharon, Aaron, vechur, and chur, these are another priest, imachem, with, you've had this word, with, chem, y'all, with y'all. Me, okay. It would have been nicer if it said mishahu, but it says just me. Me means who, like asking the question, who, okay? But here it's like someone, right? Me, Baal is to possess, to own, like to own something. Like it's a husband, right? It can mean husband sometimes. Baal, so who has or possesses devarim, words. From devarim, I think the nuance here is more like she'elot, like questions. So who has a question, who has questions, yingash, let him nagash. So nagash, look, it's a pay noon verb, right? Like we've been talking about. The first position in pal is a noon, right? But it's gone. But he left a hint. He left us a hint. He's right there. See the dot inside the gimel right there? That's where the noon went. So this in ancient Hebrew would have been yingash, and that noon assimilated. Just like in the example I gave a couple weeks ago about in legal in Older English. In from Latin meaning not, legal meaning permitted by the law, legal. It was illegal. But over time, people don't like to sandwich an N in there. It's not just in Hebrew. This is a linguistic principle in many languages. The N doesn't like to be sandwiched. Illegal. So what he does is he assimilates. That's why illegal is spelled with two L's, because one of them used to be an N. He's a turncoat. He became an L. So the same thing here. Yingash, the noon, the Hebrew's equivalent of N, became a gimel. That's why there's that dot inside the gimel. Saying there's two gimels here. Okay, so yingash became yingash. Okay, yingash. So nagash is to approach. So this is probably with Jussive force, meaning if you can Google Jussive, I won't talk about that now. Jussive, that's a grammatical concept. For the grammar nuts, go learn about it. Yigash means let him approach, elohim, unto them. Okay, so Moshe is saying, I'm not going to be here, but here's how it's going to work. Okay. Julie says, but there are verses that indicate that the idols they worship could not hear, nor speak, nor see, that they are just wood and stone, so how can they be Elohim? No, the idol isn't Elohim. No, the idol's not Elohim. Yeah, and even there's psalms about it, right? You know, warning you, like, you know, those who, Hamasimotam yihu kamohem. Those who make them will be like them, will become like them, right? So very, very scary stuff. Yeah, I think the idea is most of the time, look, these other Elohim, they're not omniscient, right? They're not like Hashem. They can hear, like, you know, thousands of prayers at once or something. You know what I mean? They're created beings. I imagine they can only hear one person at a time. So I think it was probably a very rare event that they would actually go inside the idol, right? So the mockery from the Bible is justified. Most of the time, the idol is silent. But why? Because even if that demon cares to interact with the people or not, who he hates, right? The demons hate humanity, right? Even if it wants to interact, it can't be in multiple places at once, like all the people's homes are of the idol. It can go one place at a time. This is not God. He can't like have multiple appearances or be doing multiple miracles or whatever. One place at a time, right? He's single tasking, this guy, right? No, you're not distracting. It's good. It's an interesting discussion. You know, hopefully we'll eventually have these all indexed and stuff, and so people can Google on like demons and Elohim, and they'll pull up our little immersion stuff, you know? Yeah, it's good. I really, it's more fun for me too when you guys ask questions, because a lot of times I learn something, you know, so it's nice. It's nice that I'm getting to learn something too, right? Not just, so I'm giving to you guys, but it's nice that I also get, right? So you make me think about it, and sometimes, like Landa's question about demons, are they Elohim? Oh yeah, I guess they are. Like, even though we don't really see specific example of it, then I thought, okay, there is an example. When God says he will judge the gods of Egypt, right? So I think those are the demons. So yeah, it's really good. Gary says, maybe he's on a journey or relieving himself. Yes, I love the mockery. And we're going to get to that in our First Kings course, right? That's coming up. The wonderful mockery of Eliyahu. Oh, I just love it. That's like one of my favorite spots in the Bible. The Hebrew is hilarious. It says, like, maybe he's at the bush, you know, like, which means, like, actually defecating, right? He also says relieving too, right? You know, so it's like, and he sounds, in the Hebrew, the way he says it, it's so snide. It's like he's being a good sport. Like, hey, you should shout louder. Like you're saying, he could be on a journey. We don't hear you, right? But actually, while we're talking about demons and stuff, that's actually accurate, isn't it? Right? Because what kind of God is he? He's just a demon. What kind of Elohim, is he? If people get freaked out when we say what kind of God in English, don't think of Elohim as meaning gods, right? That's again, much thanks to Heiser for clarifying this. That's just one of those things that it's really true. If the demon is on a journey, he doesn't hear. He's busy. Baal was busy. Yeah, it's so lovely. The good sport, Elijah. And also, he totally set them up, right? He's like, you go first because you are many, right? Like, really, the prophet of God cares to be a good sport? He kills them later, right? You know, he's going to care about their feelings for being many. You know, he's setting them up so that the people go through this experience of seeing what losers they are, you know, and then the hammer falls. Oh, I love it. I can't wait till we get to that First Kings. We're going to have fun. By the way, are you guys excited? I'm excited. I mean, think about maybe like a handful of years from now, we might have gone through the whole Tanakh together by that time. Right? And if some of you stick with me, maybe we would have gone through also the Greek, the apostolic writings, you know, the New Testament too, you know. So Yeah. I want to do a Greek course eventually, for people who are strong in Hebrew already. Right? I really think the right way to study the Jewish Greek is to already know the Jewish language Hebrew first, and then you see kind of connections, and you're not confined by certain grammars and stuff like that too. Okay, because it's our language, just like Yiddish, Ladino, all that stuff, just like those languages, Judeo-Arabic. The Greek, I want to reclaim it as a Jewish language. It really should have been. Should be considered that way. Okay. Where were we? Okay. Verse Tet Vav. Okay. Now Tet Vav, notice it's number 15. And it's not, we would expect Yod He, 10 and 5. But we don't have Yod He because that is a nickname of God, and we don't want to use his name just because we're teaching, we can say it, or just because we're doing whatever, you would use it as a number. No, it's holy. Even though it's just the nickname of God, like a shortened form, we still don't want to use it if we don't have to, right? Especially something as mundane as numbers. So instead of Yod, 10 plus He, 5, we instead have Tet, which is 9 plus Vav, 6, 15. So the math still works out. So that's verse 15. By the way, if anyone's listening upstairs, I sure would love some water or something cold to drink. V'ya'al Moshe el haharah. Okay, so this is, again, our verb, Allah, ayin, lamed hey, and the hey went away. Ya'al, he is ascending, or he will ascend. V'ya'al Moshe, and Moshe went up, el unto har, the mountain. Vaychas he'anan et haharah. Vaychas, okay, vaychas, this is kind of hard. So it's another lamed hey verb. Pa'al, the lamed has a hey there, right? Or a third position hey. And when the third letter is a hey, the hey goes away. So chasa, kaf, samech hey is the word. Kasa means to cover. If it's kiseh, like not with the aleph, don't confuse it with throne. If it's kiseh, like the PL, the intensive form, then it means to cover over, like to completely cover over. This is where we get the noun machse. It's a tablecloth, or the machse is the cover for the mishkan also, right? And there's some other meanings for machse, but usually covering something. So the yod tells you it's he. Yichas is he is covering. He will cover. Okay. What's the he? He anan, the anan. The vav changes the time. So yechas, rather the aspect. So instead of he is covering or he will cover, vaychas means and he covered. So the he is the anan, the cloud. Should I tell you why it's a segol here? Hey, thanks, Hesed Ken. Hesed Ken likes the explanations. Baruch Hashem. Lena says, looking forward to Greek after mastering Hebrew. Yeah, let's schedule it. I've taught it before, but it was to students who only had like a little bit of Hebrew. It was graduate students that they only had an undergrad class in Hebrew. So not as fun. Not as fun as when you can see. I want to see the students with the lights coming on. Oh, that's like this in Hebrew. When you look at it, it's really, oh, wow, the word order. Look, we got the vav consecutive, like we just had here. Shows up all the time in Jewish Greek, It'll say, like, kayepon, and he said, vayomer, and he said. Okay, so vaychasei, I jumped. Same verb was down here, I jumped. Vaychas he'anan, and the cloud covered. If you want to know why it's somebody ask, and then I'll get into it, otherwise I'm not going to. Et hahar. Et we don't translate. That's just the marker telling you of the definite object. Hahar, the mountain. Okay. How are we on time? How are we doing? Okay. Let's see. What did I say? How many verses did I say we would do in the schedule? Let's see. 18. Oh, right. Because I was thinking, okay, there's no way we're going to finish the chapter on time. But we had some interesting discussion, so it's not a loss. I'm thinking if I stop here, the next time we can finish the chapter and also have some more discussions. Do you guys have any, maybe the last minute here, you have any other questions about Hebrew stuff? Any grammar questions or, anything like that? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and end the video and I'll stay in the chat if you guys have any. Now, I would like to remind you, please, we are over here in the third world. I am in full-time ministry, okay? So And we have needs. So I don't like to ask for money, but here it is. I'm asking. Hebrew literacy. There's our PayPal. If you'd like to send something my way, that would be very helpful. We're kind of scraping by a little bit right now. So anyway, that's there. Now, do you have any questions, grammar stuff? Or you're very welcome, Hesed Ken. Okay. Ted says, please don't forget to like. Yes, exactly. Please make sure to like. Alaska Nomad says, where else can I learn Hebrew that will complement these lessons? Look at this channel right here. Look at the playlist. I've got a playlist that teaches people to read, and it goes through some of the grammar. I think it's called Grammar. Language Snippets is the name of the playlist. Check out the Language Snippets playlist. Also, you can join us in our Telegram group, where there's a bunch of Hebrew learners. On the Telegram app, I'll type the address. Okay, boom. There it is. So it's on Mac, it's on Windows, it's on iOS, it's on Android. That's free. Come join us. We have over 100 learners over there. And so if I'm not around, someone else can help you, or you can share what you found, and people talk about resources. One fella posted recently a course that he likes, and I think another person bought it. And so, so you can either kind of continue self-study using my lessons, or if you like, you can, get a normal grammar, and you can kind of float over there. It's a good community to be part of. Very welcome, Vicky.